Hello and welcome to the Critically Clueless. I'm Monk, and today, yes, we are in Mountain Blade 2 Bannerlords. And of course, we are going to be talking about the DLC WARSAILS. More importantly, we're going to be chatting about the Nords and, of course, the troops that we get to play with. That's right, we get a brand new culture, a brand new race, and of course, brand new troops to talk about. Where do they rank? How do they play? That kind of thing. You know, I think that it's really interesting just to have more troop types, and the Nords are a fantastic kind of culture for us to dive into. Again, they're very these are based on Vikings, so we kind of already know what to expect from them. It should be noted and mentioned that there are no cavalry, there's no mounted units whatsoever within the Nords. Is that going to be, a bit of a sticking point? Because up on land battles, that could be a real issue. We should also note that I think every single military unit you can actually get within the Nords are mariner units. They are very good on the water. I think every single culture now has certain troops that can do well on the water, but the Nords, it is a jack of all trades. Every single one of them can do just that. So let's look at the basic soldier. You have the Nord warrior. Um, Nothing really to write home about, a standard 40 and one-handed weapons. They have some light armor. They have a polearm, they have a shield, and of course they have a one-handed weapon as well. Pretty basic, pretty standard, and kind of knew what we were going to get. Now, once you level them up, you can choose to go down the spear route, the pole arm route. Now, I'm not going to pronounce all these names because some of them are a little bit dodgy. They do get 150 in athletics, and that's really good. 140 in one-handed, 140 in pole arms. They do get a pole arm. Most of these units also get some type of throwing implement. The Nords are really good at ranged combat. Most of them can do that. In the middle there, we have kind of like a shock and awe type of troop, two-handed weapons. They still have that ranged unit. They have quite a lot of armor, these guys, which I think is quite cool. And of course, he also has a one-handed battle axe as well, but it's that two-handed axe that I really like the look of. We also have the Nord Berserker. That's not actually what he's called, but that's what I'm going to call him. Again, 140 in athletics, a little bit less in athletics, 140 in one-handed, and 140 in throwing. Again, these guys are able to throw, have a very good shield, one-handed weapon, and of course that two-handed battle axe as well. A little bit more armor on these guys as well, so they look quite, quite chunky unit. Moving across now, we have the Nord Huntsman, standard range unit. They do have the bow, not the crossbow, meaning that they can fire at a quicker rate. Interestingly, they do have two quivers, which means they've got more ammunition. Again, when you're going to be on the water, though, that's going to be really handy. Very lightly armored. Now, if we go ahead and level them up all the way, you've got the Nord Sky God Chosen. These guys are really good. They got 150 in athletics, 140 in one-handed, and 140 in bows as well. Interestingly enough, they actually dropped one of their quivers and equipped themselves with a shield. Meaning these guys could be really handy when it comes to sieges. In other words, protecting or attacking in sieges. I like that they've actually got a shield there. I think that's kind of cool. Now, looking at their special line, their elite line, again, nothing really to write home about here. 40 in one-handed, 40 in athletics. Again, throwing, 30 in throwing, because these guys can throw. Again, another ranged unit. They do come with a shield as well. Lightly armored, probably a little bit better armored than I think the standard guy that we have here too. But moving on along to the upgraded versions, the Nord Huskills. These are kind of like their tanks of the battlefield, or at least should be. They have a 160 in athletics, really able to get across that battlefield, a 200 in one-handed weapons, 200 in pole arms, and 190 in throwing. Again, these guys have got that ranged option as well. And of course, really heavily armored units. These guys are meant to be tanks. Now, something I noticed though is that if you go one up with the Nord Shield Companion, they actually end up having a higher armor value than the Huskills. I'm not exactly sure why this is. I don't know if it is an issue, whether it's something that they is an oversight, or whether it's intended. After all, these guys do not have the 160 athletics; they only have 140, and they don't have the 200 proficiency in the weapons either. They only have the 140. So, but having that extra, I think it's almost an extra 30 armor could be massive on that battlefield. All in all, I really like the Nords. I like the Nords because of the thought of them, the idea of them, how they actually play out in practicality sense. We are still going to have to wait and see, because I think there's a lot to kind of think about. There's a lot to kind of go over, and there's a lot to see just how better they are when it comes to the other races on the ocean. Because as we said before, every single Nord troop is a mariner unit, meaning that they are designed to fight in the water on boats. That is where they excel. So just how much of a clutch is that going to be? Because when it comes to open land battles, I fear that the Nords are going to get overrun by cavalry units. These guys do not have cavalry at all. And we've already proven that their air quotes tanks aren't necessarily as tanky as perhaps they should be. But of course, this DLC has only just released. We are expecting patches along the way. This could be something that is tweaked with the Huskills, of course. I do think if they were just added, that extra bit of armor, and it does appear that they're actually just missing gauntlets. It appears that in their armor list, it is gauntlets that they didn't get when they were getting dressed in the morning. So perhaps, the devs would be kind enough to go ahead and allow them to put their gloves on. After all, I think some places in Calradia is pretty cold. But I hope this video has been helpful to you guys. If it has been helpful, don't forget to hit that like button. Don't forget to subscribe if you're not subscribed already. That way you don't miss out on more videos just like this. We are going to be covering Mount & Blade Bannerlords WARSAILS DLC throughout its lifespan. This is one of my favorite games of all time, so we're definitely going to be covering it. But until next time, I've been a monk, you've been a Christy Kudos, and I will see you in the next video real soon. Until then, take it easy and happy gaming.